overview of what we're doing. So
yeah,
our beautiful collaboration that we started. I mean, at the beginning of our semester, so I think pretty much at the beginning of yours too. So in January, we started working in teams across the US and Japan, first ideating together, coming up with a game idea, and then building very swiftly and straightforwardly to realizing those plans and ideas. So in our last meeting, we had a digital prototype. And in this meeting, we will be looking at the vertical slices, which is, as Peter always says, a little slice of the pie. So we have everything in there, but it's just a little excerpt. So it's not the entire experience. It's just a little excerpt that allows us to see the aesthetic appearance and understand what the experience might look like. Even though we don't have everything working yet, we don't necessarily understand how it fully feels like, but we get a good sense of what it will be like.
じゃあ、そうですね、今年1月からまたUSC と、東京芸大のコラボレーションが始まりました。で、本当に最初は、グループに分かれて、アイディアを、考えるところから始めて、それをここまで、スムーズに進めてまいりました。で、2週間前に、デジタルプロトタイプが、締め切りがあって、で、今日は、バーティカルスライスの発表の場になります。バーティカルスライスはピーター先生が教えてくださったように、こうまだ全部のエクスペリエンスがすべて完成しているわけではないけれども、このゲームのビジュアルや、エクスペリエンスの、全体像がちゃんと伝わるような、一部が、完成しているという状態のものになります。
And we have 3 groups, each one consisting of 4 students, 2 from USC and 2 from Geidai. And we will be asking each group to quickly introduce their project and show us where they are at with the vertical slice.
で、今年は3つのグループがあります。で、それぞれ4名の、チームメンバーがいて、芸大から2名、USC から2名という構成になってます。で、これから、それぞれのグループに、まず英語で、作品の概要を、簡単に説明紹介してもらった後に、どちらかの芸大生が日本語で今度、ゲームの概要を、教えてください。で、その後、バーティカルスライスの、出来上がりを、お見せしてほしいと思います。
And to change things up from our previous meetings, we're going to start with Group B. That's Albert, Yufeng, Nana, and Biko. Please show us your vertical slice.
Hi. So my name is Yufeng, and our project is named Unravel, and it's a sort of like single-player experimental interactive project where a player play as something beyond that has the power to impact an island by massaging the volcano. So basically, our game involves the player to massage the volcano and then triggering events in the world, such as creating, plants, animals, and eventually human beings. And then we want to sort of create a dynamic between the player's massage with what's happening in the world. Our experience goal is basically sort of a two-sided. One is to let the player feel the joy of hope by massaging the volcano to create life and prevent the eruption. And on the other hand, like the player can also feel, the sense of remorse or sense of like considering for, I don't know, harming the environment by allowing or causing the volcano to erupt and destroy everything. So just let me pull out my our vertical slice and share my screen.
Can one of the Geidai students
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
explain that in Japanese? Yeah, thanks. じゃあ、芸大生どちらかから
このゲームは、トキホグス、アンラベル、トキホグスっていうゲームで、火山をマッサージして、で火山の噴火を防ぐっていう、目的を達成するゲームなんですけれども、そうです。でも火山をマッサージすることによって、存在、その植物とか、動物、人間とかを破壊することについてのゲームでもあります。で、以上です。
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so just let me share my screen for you now. Can you see it right now?
It's coming up.
It's coming, I'm sure.
You optimize for, wait, let me double check. I think I need to optimize for video and sound.
Okay, there we go.
So essentially, this is the world, and this is the island and volcano we have for now. And as you can see, when you move your cursor on top of the volcano, you will see a giant hand. And then you can start to perform two different kind of massage action. One is basically you can drag the volcano, and the other is like knocking on the volcano. So currently, as you can see, that that animation is for telling the player that the massage is not enough. So which means that when I was knocking on it, the force, like the frequency, is not enough. And then this is just like as a cycle, the volcano will go off and go and then reset back. So let me just try to like sort of like play the game for one cycle for you. So as you can see, like for now, it's telling me that my like the scale I'm dragging is not enough, and then when it's enough, it will trigger the event. As you can see, the tree just popped up. And when you are not seeing any response, that probably means that you will need to perform a different kind of actions. And as for now, we have a sort of dynamic system in the world where the human will only be spawned after there are sort of like enough trees or animals or the flowers in the world. Just let me try to get through that state. So as you can see, like when the humans are spawned, there's also a bonfire, sort of like indicating that's their home, or it's like where they're sort of like grouping. And then you can see that the human just run towards the cow to just take that. We don't have the animation for hunting yet, but we have the animation for logging the tree. As you can see right now, the little human is performing right now. And then if the human can sustain enough level of food and woods, more population will grow out of that. And then they're sort of just like living in this world in a dynamic fashion. And just let me sort of try to trigger the volcano to erupt. But in general, so when the volcano erupts, it will just destroy everything on the island, and then a counter will show up. That is sort of our, just like a placeholder for a sort of like description system we want to include in this game, where it's like because based on our playtest, we can see that some players will sort of like emerge some sense of story on their own, and we want to add some spice, which is like a booster for that. So we will have a short description on what is happening in the world occasionally to add some of the narrative into that. But overall, basically, this is like the vertical slice for our game right now. If you have any comments or questions, please just tell us.
Well, for me, seeing it now, really the real thing. So you did read. You did. This is a vertical slice because I really get it now, and it's intriguing to see the trees and then the people. What I like about it is there's a kind of political tension between like a volcano ruining nature, but people ruining nature, but nature being a resource, that I think is a good kind of complication. Some just like, I think you're ready to do some basic UI improvements. What I mean is like when the tree, particularly when the first tree pops in, it's nice if it bounced just in a kind of classic animation style, or it bounces in, or maybe it squishes, if that's okay with your aesthetic, kind of squishes in and out for just a half second or less than a half second as it comes in. Because the thing that gets what we really want to do is make sure that people see the trees pop up right away, the first one. And the best way to get people's attention is to have movement. Further, I don't know what to think. It is a little strange that they're black, or I didn't know what to think. So the black also makes it so my eyes aren't drawn towards it. Once the people are there, they're starting to walk around. Of course, the movement makes it so I do look at the trees and the people. It's not a coherent, it's not a fully formed thought, but I just found the hands and the trees and people a little strange that they're black shaded. And I don't know if I feel strongly about that, but that was just my first impression.
Yeah, I think I think Nana just created those assets as just just her first thoughts, and then we might need to make some adjustment according to all of the environment, because as of right now, they might not, as you said, they might not draw your attention to them because they're so subtle, or they're not that eye-catching. And sometimes they like when they are overlapping might be a little hard to see, but I think we'll have the time or the resource to adjust it later.
I can say as a vertical slice, it would have been nice to have a little more sound, even if there's just a rumbling in the background would have taken you 60 seconds to incorporate. To say nothing about a little bit more feedback on massaging the volcano. In other words, it would have taken you only 5 or 10 minutes to actually like fully pull this through into a vertical slice with sound design.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt there for
Sorry,
a second.
yeah,
Okay,
right.
it's okay, it's okay. 簡単にバーティカルスライスの説明をすると、揉むっていうのと、叩くっていう2種類のマッサージの仕方があって、マッサージが不足しているとこう噴火につながってしまうと。で、マッサージが十分だと、いろんな植物が生まれたり、動物が出てきたり、人間が出てきて、そして文明が生まれてみたいな、続き方をしていくと。で、何も起きないときは逆になんか別のアクションをした方がいいみたいな、ヒントになるっていうことでいいのかな。で、ピーター先生はこのもう本当に素晴らしく完成されたバーティカルスライスだと思いますと。で、人と植物とかそういうなんかこうすごく政治的なテンションを感じる作品ですねと。噴火も、その全てを破壊してしまうけれども、人間も同様にその自然を破壊していくっていうそのテンションをすごい感じる。 いい意味でその複雑性を持った作品だと思います。で、今後の課題としては、UI の、を、より良くしていくこと、それから木が生まれた時とかにもうちょっと気づきやすくした方がいいんじゃないかと、ちょっとこう潰れるような、アクションを加えるとか。それから黒で全部が出てくるのも、ちょっと自分はどうかなっていうふうに思いましたと。あまり目立たないっていうのもあるし、ちょっと黒っていう色も考えます。ちょっと自分は気になったと。で、ゆうへいさんが言うには、その色については、奈々さんが初めてのアイデアとして出してきたもので、これはもう今後、流れを見て考え直すかもしれないと。で、ピーター先生が、バーティカルスライスの段階という意味では、もうちょっとサウンドを加えてもよかったんじゃないかな。そうすれば、さらに良いバーティカルスライスになったように思いますということです。Sorry.
Yeah. I agree with Peter's comments. I think there's a lot of potential for sound there that would really support the experience. I really like the responses of the volcano and also the massage gestures. They really fit together well. And the behaviors of those people are great. I see by the fact that the people are silhouettes and the hands are silhouettes, there's some kind of proximity, which makes me ask, can I interfere with them? So that somehow signifies a connection between the massage gestures and the people, more so than a connection between the volcano and the people. The volcano is a little bit of a separate actor in here, where I'm not necessarily feeling the connection of massaging the volcano and spawning those people. I could consider this as a coincidence, and I was wondering, maybe there's a way to not only pop those people and trees in, but have a little bit more of a connection of the volcano responses to the spawning of creatures, of people, of trees, so that I understand really what is in this allegory, right? It's the volcano that can do both. It can create life and it can extinguish life. And it's my kind of distant interference with all of that makes that either brings the potential village to fruition or to its extinction.
ピーター先生と同じようにすごくサウンドのポテンシャルが高いと思います。なので十分考えてほしいところですね。それから火山の反応とかそのマッサージの動きすごくいいと思います。それに出てきた人々の動きもすごくいいと思います。ただ人とそれから手がシルエットで描かれていますよね。でそれに対して火山は色があるんですよね。だからそこに関連が見えにくい。自分がそのマッサージとその人を生まれさせているっていうのはつながりが見えるんだけれども、そこに実は火山が全てを握っているっていうのがちょっと見えにくいかなという気がしました。その命を作ることも消すこともできる火山っていうものがちょっとフィーチャーが薄いかなっていう感じがして、その人間が生まれていくのが何かこうある種偶然のようにも感じてしまったと。だから、そこに自分がその一連の、アクションの中にどう関わっていくのかっていうそのプレイヤーをもうちょっと意識させるような何か工夫が必要な気がしました。
Yeah, and I think then there will be questions coming up like how long does it take to massage? How long does it take to spawn? So this is all fine-tuning questions. I see that those questions will come up. And I think another aspect to I guess test 4 in playtesting is how players interpret the connections. So to me, it's a very strong connection between all the black elements. So the hands and the people, which is correct. So that connection is there. But there's also the connection to the volcano. And right now I'm a little bit undecisive. What I would suggest, should there be more of a connection between the volcano and the people, so that I'm not, I don't consider them as part of my matter, or should we actually enhance that? So should we go with that? I think it's, in terms of messaging, with like the political aspect that Peter mentioned, is impacted by that. So it's actually about tuning the statement that you want to make with the experience that would drive the decision. Should they be more connected to my hand, or should they be more connected to the natural system with the volcano? And I think, yeah, it's an interesting question, and I don't really have the clear answer. It should be this. So it's, yeah, something to discuss, I think.
そうですね。それから、これはこの先の質問だと思うんですけれども、どれぐらいの時間をかけてマッサージをしなきゃいけないのか、どれぐらいの時間が経つと何かが生まれてくるのかみたいなところの調整は必要になってくると思います。で、先ほども言ったところですけども、黒い手とか人間、それから火山の関係性をどうしていくのが一番いいのかっていう、それは今ここで私自身答えが分かるわけではなくて、そのテストとかで見えてくるのかもしれないけども、同様に皆さんがチームの皆さんがこれをどれだけ政治的にしたいかとか、自分たちがどういうエクスペリエンスをプレイヤーにさせたいかで決まってくるところだと思いますね。自分の手が、プレイヤーの手が文明に対してどれぐらいの意味を持つものなのか、自然のシステムである火山にどれだけの力を持つものなのかっていうのは、皆さんでちょっと考えていってほしいなと思います。
Yeah, so great work. I think this really, as a vertical slice, really communicates the look and feel of it. Good job. Other comments?
バーティカルスライスとしては本当に素晴らしいし、この作品のルックとかフィールがすごく伝わってくるものです。
Yeah. Yeah, yes. So, yeah, good job very much. And first time today I saw your vertical slice. First time I think that how do the players know massage is enough or not enough for preventing the explosion of volcano. So you had better to make some indication or countdown or something for the massage is enough or no. And another question is I think is what the difference is between massage and the knocking. Is there any differences of the effect or something?
So currently, do you need to translate first, or I can just answer?
I think Mitsuko-san would like to translate.
In Japanese? 最初に言ったとき、アンドレアスの意見に賛成で、どれぐらいボルケーノがマッサージがイナフか十分かどうかっていうのを知りたいと思ったっていうことと、それから、マッサージとノックっていうのの違いは何みたいなことを聞きました。I did.
Yeah, so as for now, we have different like volcano animations in order like reacting to sort of the amount you massage. I think since like it's like we are doing something like sort of like not really that conventional. It's like we're not telling you which response means which one directly to the player. But I think through the game, when you're playing it, you will sort of get an idea that, oh, I'm seeing a sort of like positive color, a positive sound feedback, and then something being created that sort of indicate, oh, this response means it's like a positive response. And some other animation, I think the one which is like showing you that you're massaging too hard, which I did not demonstrate in the playthrough, is quite, I think it's kind of obvious when you're seeing it, like the volcano actually moves really radically, and then you can sort of know, and that's like something is wrong that's happening. As for now, the knock and the drag, it's basically the volcano is requiring different kinds of massage. As for now, it's just like, you have different ways to perform the task, but in the end, what we want to achieve is basically the way you massage sort of impact what is going to be created in the world. So maybe in the future, that since we have like a dynamic system for the little human in our world, and then they will actually die if they don't have enough resources. So maybe it's like the drag is going to tend to create more plants or trees, and the knock is going to tend to create animals. And it's sort of that, even though it creates like a dilemma that you want to provide this object to the society, but the volcano wants something else, and that creates the dynamic and the conflict we want to embed in our game. So but thank you for pointing that out, and that's really the direction we need to be focusing on in the future. Thanks.
そうですね、そもそもこのゲームはあまり今まで見たことないようなものにしたいっていうのがあったので、あんまりこれをするとこういう反応が起きるっていうのを直接的に伝えるようなものにはしないつもりではいました。火山が喜んでいるっていうのは何か色とか、音とか、それからいろんな動植物が生まれていくっていうので表せたらいいなと思っています。それからただマッサージの仕方を嫌がっているっていうのは、火山がすごく激しくなんかちょっと反応を見せるみたいなことで、今日は見せられなかったんですけど、そういうのも作ってはいます。で違うタイプのマッサージをすることによって生まれてくるものが違うっていうふうに、変化をつけようと思っていて、例えば揉むと、植物が生まれる、叩くと動物系が生まれるみたいな。で、それが生命が噴火によって奪われた後に、どっちを優先して作ろうかみたいなこの生態系のダイナミックをプレイヤーに考えさせたりみたいな風につながればいいなとも思っています。
Yeah, it is interesting that human beings and the players and the volcano communicate with us a kind of spiritual way. Or, yeah, I like your idea.
Yeah, great. Other comments? Or should we move on to the next one? Well, let's move on to Group A. That's Sankath, Jersey, Child, and Chisan. Do you want to introduce the game concept first and then show the product, the visual size?
I can give a quick description. So our game is called Welcome to Tomodachi Academy. It is a game where the player is a new student at a school filled with peoples of all different kinds, not necessarily human. And they must make friends with all these students and learn about both their language and their culture. And the motivation for that is that the player sort of family has this heirloom known as the cultural bestiary. And by some accident, the player ruins it in the beginning of the game. So they must quest through the school to make friends with all these different people and learn more about their language and culture so they can fill up the book in the end. And the game, this is done through both talking through all your various classmates and such, and also helping them out with any situations that they find themselves stuck in. So should I demo the game or?
We have a Japanese explanation first.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, if Chal or Chisa. Okay.
はい。じゃあ、今後は私が。私たちは、言葉が通じなくてもアクションや表情で友達になれるのではという考えから友達アカデミーというゲームを思いつきました。このゲームは舞台が、動物が過ごす学校で、主人公は、新入生としてシャイな人間が、主人公です。人間の主人公が、動物たちとどのように関わっていくかミッションをこなしていくゲームになっています。以上です。
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see it?
Yes, and hear it. Perfect.
Yes. Is the audio too loud?
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the game. We just have a simple menu. But for the vertical slice, we have the player sort of after like the first 10 to 15% of the game. So here we have the classroom where the player's first few classmates are. So in this case, right now there are 3, which is the octopus people, the representative student from their group. And then we have a group of people inspired by elephants. And then the last one is a bird group of people. So initially in the bestiary, they have these 3 sorts of people. And in the beginning, at least for the vertical slice, we only have these 3 included. And they have a language, and then an example of the language as well is provided in the bestiary. So in the at the start of the game, all of these are unavailable to read to the player because they're the ones that need to fill it out. So initially, we have the elephant who is stuck in the door. So the current goal is to basically get close to the elephant, and this is just done through having a few conversations with the elephant. So I'm not going to read out all the dialogue, that might take a while. So just to summarize, the beginning, the elephant kind of is acting like they're not really stuck in the door and they're very nonchalant. They're acting like they're just hanging out and just taking a break after a few classes because they're a bit embarrassed about the fact that they're stuck in the door. So at the end, the elephant finally admits that yes, I am indeed stuck in the door. So the player just kind of is silent the last time, and then the elephant admits that. And then the player offers them help, but the elephant hints that this other character, which is the octopus character called Octo, can actually help with that because in the past, they've used their tentacles to feed the elephant before. So here comes the first obstacle where right now the octopus has a language that the player doesn't understand. So they're unable to sort of communicate with the octopus no matter how much they talk. So they have to go back to the elephant and realize exactly what's happening. And then the elephant admits, yes, to use the tentacles to make gestures in Western language. And since the elephant has a trunk, he can show the player the sort of gestures that would help the octopus know what to do. So here is just 4 different gestures of the elephant needs the trunk. It's a little unrealistic. We've done that on purpose for it to be a bit more on the comedic side and a bit cartoony as well. And yeah, and 4 gestures. And players like, oh, I don't have a trunk. And the elephant just says that they can use the easel that the octopus is drawing on to draw these things. So the player can go back down, and then once they interact with this, and now this is the first mini game where we have these gestures that the player needs to do. So we have a hint box in the top left to just make sure that the mini game goes more smoother. So for example, if they put the correct character in the wrong place, then we have a hint that lets the player know that, okay, that is the correct gesture, but that doesn't go there. So in this case, this would go over here. Great. However, if they do something that's more nonsensical, we just have a flat, we just have a line that says that it doesn't look right. In this case, this is square, and here was the L shape, and this will reverse. Yeah, and then that all gets kind of locked in, and now the player just gives it back to the octopus. Yeah, and right now we haven't really communicated with the player before, but we plan to do so in the beginning of the game that any sort of dialogue in brackets means it's translated. And so in this case, since the octopus replied, we just had that translation in the dialogue box. And then at the end, this triggers the first cutscene, where basically the octopus tries to help the elephant out and then departs doing his duty. And now, yeah, the player can use the UI. Okay, and then this has a small discussion about what happened, and the elephant thanks the player. But immediately we introduce them to the second problem, where a mouse has made its way into the classroom, and now the elephant is scared and runs away. And as of now, this is where the vertical slice ends, because this is where we begin the sort of quest to talk to the third character, which is the bird. And in that case, we still are working on that sequence of events. So as of now, this is where the vertical slice ends on our side. And yeah, it's basically it.
I have some questions to start out. What did the octopus do just then to the elephant?
Yeah, so right now the animation's a work in progress, but the octopus basically walked up and pulled the elephant out of the door with the tentacles.
Okay. Is the when the elephant did their trunk in a shape for letters, that was wonderful. Is that going to be a consistent thing, or is that just tied to one? Is that one mini game? The reason I ask it is because as soon as I saw that, I thought, well, an octopus could do that too. Is that going to be something we see consistently?
Yeah, so in this case, we wanted to show that because the elephant and octopus can talk to each other more easily than other people, they know each other pretty well. So in this case, we just wanted to display that in the sense that the elephant is like, okay, usually I talk to the octopus using my trunk. So you want to give the feeling that in this world that there are different ways of communication that are mainstream, but it still happens with creatures from different people as well, using similar sort of gestures and languages.
Is it through the octopus doing the same thing, like shaping its tentacles?
Yes, that is the same language. And actually, I forgot to mention, but as of now, it's just a small fill up in the bestiary. So once you learn the gestures and stuff in the bestiary, we have the entry that appears that tells you this is how these people communicate with each other.
So my advice moving forward is to do what I always tell people to do when they're have a story and looking for story comprehension. Talk as a group about how much clarity you need to give each moment, and then as creators just make it 50% more clear than you think it needs to be, and you're probably going to hit a sweet spot. And if you go too far, we'll tell you, And when you go too far, it often comes off as cheesy or like something for children if it's too clear. But that's not usually the problem we have. That is going to be a big test. And this is just general advice because we always have this problem, always have this challenge with story comprehension.
そうですね。最初のピーター先生からの質問は、象とタコだけのこの、腕と鼻の動きを使ったコミュニケーションの仕方なのか、これがその他の動物すべてにも同じようになるのかっていう、質問でしたね。で、あと、こういうストーリーがあるもの、ゲームの場合は、アドバイスとしてストーリーをプレイヤーに伝える、そこにどれだけはっきり明確に伝える必要があるのかっていうのは、グループ内でもう話し合って決めてほしいんですけども、作り手が思う分かりやすさプラス 50% ぐらい足したものが、おすすめですということでした。ただ行き過ぎてあまりにも分かりすぎるとやっぱり幼稚になりすぎたり、ちょっとなんていうのかな、やりすぎなものになってしまうんですけども、大概それぐらいちょっとやりすぎかなっていうぐらいでも、問題ない場合がほとんどですので、ちょっと分かりやすすぎるかなっていうところぐらいを目指してもいいんじゃないかと。これはもう本当に皆さんストーリーのある作品を作る方には常に言っているアドバイスです。
Yeah, congratulations for that vertical slice. This is really beautiful. I think what I didn't understand in our last time, where I found the communication flow and the exchange was not fully clear, I think now I really get it. It's clear. And the kind of the gesture language that you came up with works really well. The only, I think what would be my main comment, the only question that I have is, the mini game now feels a little bit disconnected. As we come to it, it makes sense. So we understand the language is not shared, and we learn the language taught by the elephant, and then do the mini game. That's perfect. But then that mini game becomes a little bit disconnected. I think maybe we can have that paper that we write appear and make clear, okay, he wrote it down and that's how the communication happens. And then in the next step, the translation in parentheses is kind of making the mini game a little bit obsolete because, oh, now it works. It's a little bit too fast. I mean, we could say they learned the language, they can speak now as if it were straightforward spoken words, but it kind of takes the joy out of what we learned to a certain extent. I completely go with you. It takes too long to do the whole celebration again, writing it down, etc. But to not just let it go, could we just say we got the gestures and it's just an accelerated animation that unfolds at the same time as we communicate? And we can have the translated version, but let's have the animation so we understand they're still communicating through the gestures.
そうですね。本当に素晴らしい、美しいバーティカルスライスだったと思います。で、前回まではどういうふうにコミュニケーションを取らせるのかっていうのがはっきり見えてなかったんですけども、今回これでよくわかりました。で、私からのコメントは本当に一つだけで、そのミニゲームがちょっとそれまでの流れとあまりにも断絶してるんじゃないかなっていう気がしました。ミニゲームにたどり着くまでの流れはすごくいいんですけれども、なんかいきなり様相が全く変わってしまってっていうのが もったいない気がしたと。その紙に書いて、答えが書いていくっていうのは分かるんですけど、その次はもうすぐにその括弧の中に意味が書かれていたじゃないですか。でその括弧で意味を書いて伝えちゃう、そんなすぐこう伝えられるようになっちゃうんだっていう、そうするとそのミニゲーム自体の存在が何だったんだっていうことになっちゃうので、もう少しそこにもう一回全部やらせるっていうのは長すぎると思うんだけれども、何かアニメーションでジェスチャーを素早くやり直すとかでもいいんだけれども、もうちょっとそのミニゲームと本編の断絶感を少なくした方がいいんじゃないかなと思いました。
Thank you, Asako. I think the other question, I mean, the mini game, the vertical slice just didn't include that, but I got very intrigued about the question, what am I going to enter in the bestiary now? Am I going to draw the gestures, the signs, or what am I doing in there?
で疑問として浮かんだのは、じゃあ、ここまで来ましたと。で、これをどのようにその図鑑の中に書き込むのか、何を書き込むのかっていう疑問が湧きました。
Yeah, actually, as of now, we do want to have like the whatever you written down come up in the bestiary, and that's like the example language that you have under the entry for the octopus people.
So it's automatically entered once I've done the mini game.
We right now it's going to happen once that small cinematic finishes after the elephant has been rescued.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sounds great.
何か
Other comments? Sorry.
自動的に図鑑に書き込まれるというよりは、何かこうアニメーションか何かでその記載されていく様子が見えるみたいな感じにする予定なのかな。なんかはっきり聞き取れなかったんだけど、何かしらアクションはあるということでした。
Yeah.
I had a
Other
question.
Yes.
What is the protagonist going to reveal himself? He looks so, I don't know.
Yeah, the design is that like we plan to have, at least in the entry to the story, that the protagonist is a bit more socially awkward than your average person, which is why they're all always closed up with a hoodie. I think so. That is something to explore. Where once they're broken out of their shell, they might reveal their face, but we'll have to find that out.
なんであんなに重装備なのかを聞きたかったんだけど、実際すごくシャイな主人公なので、ああいう格好をしてるけど、そういうエンディングでどうなるかっていうのはまだこれから考えますということ。
I thought, am I only the one who cannot read a dialogue box because it disappeared so quickly? So, but I wonder, are native people can read it or not?
It's actually not automatic. You have to click E in order for the next box to come. So the player does it themselves.
Yeah, for the sake of time, I actually sped through the dialogue boxes, but hopefully players will take the time to read through before clicking to go to the next conversation.
今日は動画だったのでそのダイアログがどんどん進んでいっちゃったけども、実際のプレイはプレイヤーがE を押すことによって、どんどんダイアログがスクロールしていくというものなので、ゆっくり読むこともできますと。
Yeah, great. Any other comments? Okay, then let's move on to the last group, and that's Group C with you, Nitesh, Bikun, and Ten.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Our game's name is called Monster Chef, right? And this game is about player play as a chef, and different customers with different personality and problems comes to the restaurant to ask for food. And you as a chef need to prepare different kind of food and offer to them. Hopefully your food can solve their problem and erase their negative emotions and make them a more complete being. Yeah, it's a simple description. And Ten and Bikun, can you explain that in Japanese?
はい、私たちのゲームはモンスターシェフと言います。いろいろなお客様が自分なりに悩みがあります。でも料理人としてプレイヤーはいろいろおいしい料理をお客様にあげてお客様の悩みを解消するためにいろいろそしてこのお客様の悩みを聞きして問題を解決するためにいろいろ料理を作ります。だからはい、これ以上は私たちのゲームのコンセプトです。はい。
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Can you all see that? Screen sharing? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Yeah, and when it comes to the game, it becomes a little bit more complicated, but not that much. So yeah, as you can see, we had a lot of art assets here. We can see the restaurant is a very nice and warm restaurant. We can see the 3 different kind of cooking methods here. Right now, they are still images, but after that, we will add some, we will make them moving, small animations and effects to make them more lively. If you remember the prototype, in the digital prototype, each food with different cooking method will have 3 different kind of effect. But after thinking about it, we think it's too complicated. There's too much information for players to remember. So we decided that for each kind of raw material, their attack should always be the same. So such as this crab, okay, the attack of crab is always 2. If you steam the crab, it's gonna -2 sadness. If you fried it, it's gonna -2 fear. If you roast it, it's gonna -2 angry. So that player can get a clear vision of the effect of each kind of food. Also, we add some special effect to the raw material, such as broccoli. If you cook broccoli in this pot, okay, it's cooking right now. And after it's cooked, okay, I need to wait after his complaint. You feed it to him. After you cook the broccoli in the steamer, the next food in the steamer is gonna be boosted. The effect will be boosted. If you remember, the original attack of crab is -2, so now it's -4. The original attack of pork is -6, now it's -12. Yeah, we will add different effects to different food. Okay, and another key element of our system is the monster will complain, will vent. They will talk to you. As you can see, this broken panda, he's always angry. So yeah, wait for a second. Okay, Broken Panda said, I'm angry, and here's a progress bar. What does this dialogue mean? That means you need to feed him some food that will reduce the angry. If you don't feed him, you will notice there's a cross here. It will fix the status bar from changing. But if you successfully feed him, for example, this roasted broccoli, it's going to counter this dialogue part. And after that, you can feed him some other food. That's the most important mechanics in our games. So hopefully we will have at least 3 to 4 different monsters. They will all have different behaviors. For Panda, he's always angry. For other monsters, they will change their dialogue from like angry to fear to sadness. So that player have to figure out the behavior pattern of the monster and cook the correct food to feed them. Yeah, this is our vertical slice. Sorry, there's still a lot of placeholder because we are planning on like changing the appearance of the cooked dish. So we're still using screenshots right now, but the effect, the mechanics are working. Yeah, that's it. This is our vertical slice.
Yeah, it's very nice. And it's particularly got a charm. You know, you're hitting the ground running. Like you have a lot of charm coming from this project, both from the premise and the art here. What do you think? And this is a little bit of advice for everyone, I suppose. Now that you've made a vertical slice, you've probably made some section of the middle of your game somewhere. What do you think is going to be the order of teaching players the mechanics and the elements, from the numbers to what the creature wants to how to cook to the bars on the top right? There's a lot of information. Where does it start?
Yeah, for our game, since there's a lot of options and informations, this is a very important part of our game. So right now, my plan was, first, we need to introduce 3 cooking methods. This is the basic of the game, and match the 3 cooking methods to the emotions. It's the most important part. This is the first step. And second, we have 4 different materials. We plan to introduce them one by one. So in our design, the rice is the most basic raw material. Rice has no special effect, and its attack is not that high. The cooking time is also not that high. So maybe in our first level, rice is the only raw material that's on the table. You can only use rice, and the level will be super easy. The monster will not complain. You just cook the rice and feed the rice to them. After a few steps, you clear the level, and the next level, we're going to introduce the broccoli. The broccoli have also some basic attributes, but it has some special effect, which is to boost the effect of the next food. So our plan was to introduce the food one by one, and hopefully player can understand the effect of all these 4 foods. And yeah, at the end of the game, the level is going to be really complicated or more complicated than the previous one.
Ah, そうですね。まあ、ゆえさんがゲームの説明の時に言っていたところで、大事なのは、今出てるような料理の、完成した料理の写真とか、そういうのはまだすべて仮のものですということです。で、ピーター先生がとっても素敵ですごく魅力的な 内容としてもアートとしてもすごく魅力的な作品だと思います。で、バーティカルスライスができたっていうことは、このゲームのどこかその中間部分の、が出来上がったということになるんですけども、この作品の場合、この後そのどういうふうにプレイヤーに対して、このゲームの遊び方を、教えるのかっていうのがすごく大事になると思います。というのは、右上には、バーがあったりカウンターバーがあったりしていろんな情報が盛り込まれている画面なので、本当にスタートをどこにするのかっていうのを考えた方がいいと思います。でそれに対してゆえさんも確かに本当に情報量が多いので、まず第一にその3通りの調理法があって、それから3通りの、感情っていうのがある作品だっていうのをまず見せますと。で次に、その料理それぞれの素材の特徴を、プレイヤーが分かるようにこうレベルごとに、その素材の数を増やしていく。例えば最初は、お米しかないっていうレベルがあって、でお米は特に何もしないけれども、それを、調理していかなきゃいけないっていうゲームだっていうのを教える。で次のレベルでは例えばブロッコリーをお米に足して、でブロッコリーは、それ自身には何かパワーがあるわけではないけれども、その次にあげる、ご飯のその影響力をブーストする、機能があるっていうのを見せていく。で次にまた別のレベルで次の素材を紹介してっていうふうに順を追って、紹介していくようなやり方にして、どんどん複雑にしていければなと思っています。
Thank you.
Yeah, this looks really beautiful. I think I really like the transparency of the glasses and all that. So there's a lot of beautiful detail going on. And yeah, I was curious. So you said you took out the impact difference for the different food items based on the cooking method because you found that too complicated. But then you introduced the additional special effect. If I previously cooked broccoli, then the next one will have a different impact. And I was wondering, isn't that more complicated than the first one? So I'm curious, what was your motivation? Did you have playtests that led you there, or how did you get to that decision?
Yes. So this is not based on playtest. It's based on the feeling of ourselves. So from my perspective, the main action in this game is to choose from raw materials and move them to the cooking method. As in my opinion, in our previous version, the same food will have 3 different numbers, 3 different attack numbers based on the cooking method. And I have to remember those numbers, because otherwise, if I don't remember them, I don't have the information to make the right decision. So I need to remember 12 different numbers related to 4 different raw materials. So that's actually a lot from my experience of testing and playing my own game. This purely come from ourselves. So after that, I and Natasha had a conversation, and we decided that we narrowed the value just to 1, so that player have a clear vision that, okay, now the attack value of crab is 4. I don't have to remember any other numbers. And the only reason I choose different cooking method is the different status of the monster's status, the number, so that it's easier for player to make a decision. For example, if right now the anger bar is longest, I will know I need to put something into the roast. I need to cook something using the roast cooking method. yeah, so we think that's easier. And about the special effect of broccoli is if the difference between this raw material is only the numbers, the game's gonna be not that interesting. And there's not enough space for us to create different monsters, because our ultimate goal is to match different monsters with different strategies. So we need to have some strategy space for players to choose from. That's the reason why we add some other special effect to the food, but we will keep that effect simple and not that complicated. And it still matches our vision of, okay, one food only have one attack and one special effect. So yeah, overall, we think it's the system might be a little bit complicated, but it's easier for players to understand it and perceive and remember all the informations of our game.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just say a few words first. So アンドレア先生はカウンターに置かれたグラスのその透明なグラスとか本当に隅々にわたって美しく描かれているものだと思います。ただ前回までは素材に対してその調理法によって怒りと悲しみとなんだっけもう一個それぞれに効き目があるみたいなゲームだったと思うんですけど、今回はより簡単にするためにその素材にはその他の素材に与える影響力があるみたいなことにしたって言ってたけど、それは逆により難しくなってないかっていう質問をアンドレア先生がおっしゃって、それに対してゆえさんは前回のやり方だとそれぞれの素材に対してその調理法の数だけのたくさんの数値をプレイヤーに覚えさせなきゃいけなかったんだけど、今回は例えばカニは怒りだけに効くみたいな数値を1個に絞って、プレイヤーが覚えなきゃいけない数を減らすことに、一番の重きを置いたというような返答だったと思います。はい。
Yeah. All right. I'll go with your intuition. Which one is the easier one? I mean, I can see there's more opportunity for strategy, but it's also a little bit complex to figure out, I guess. I mean, maybe it's the encouragement to eat broccoli, since people don't tend to like that.
Yeah. But one thing also I wanted to say, because this came up in our discussion when you and I talked about redefining the mechanics, we were looking at it, and one thing was that what we really wanted was a way to categorize all of the ingredients in a way that would be easy for players to understand. And with all of the different types of numbers for them, it was getting very confusing. So one thing we were thinking was we should have them kind of associated with different types almost. So like the rice should be the fast one, the meat should be the heavy hitting one. The broccoli is not so so strong, but it has the special effect that doubles it. And so that way the players can kind of assign almost like a personality to each of the ingredients. Additionally, in our older version, all those numbers kind of distracted from the main end goal of the game, which was just we wanted to, in order for a complaint system to be very impactful, we want the main mechanic to be tied to the cooking time and how much that matters. And so by this way, we were able to vary that cooking time a little bit more and focus kind of on just those two numbers rather than having additional factors coming into play.
そうですね。本当に、戦略重視にしたっていうのかな。そのメカニクスを考え直したときに、その素材の、分類をより分かりやすく、プレイヤーに伝えるためには、その素材そのものに数値を与えるんではなくて、ある意味正確付けをした方が、プレイヤーとして覚えやすいんじゃないかっていう捉え方をしました。お米が一番簡単で、お肉が一番強い、カニは、効果を倍にするみたいな、そういう数値で捉えるのではない、方法を考えてみました。で、そうすることによって我々の主目的だったその調理時間を、一番プレイヤーには意識してもらいたいっていうところから始めたので、そこがよりプレイヤーがそこによりフォーカスできるような、方法にしたつもりです。
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the dialogues will be very important. What kinds of reactions we will read, like the writing of those will be quite important to the experience, I think.
そうですね。私も、それは同意しますと。で、ただ、ダイアログがとてもこの先重要になってくるのではないかと思います。
Other comments?
I have a comment.
Yeah, please go.
I thought it's like so impressive, the art. But I wanted to see some detailed animation, like the flames flickering, maybe. Small things. I felt like it would upgrade it. I love the design, and I love that you can't tell where this is. It's not Japan, it's not China. The writings are not real language, but the poster in the back is Fujisan, Fuji Mountain, and there's a Japanese flag, and that flag is actually kind of problematic. It's called the Rising Sun flag, and it's associated with the military and the Second World War Japanese army. So it's actually not used a lot in Japan. Like if someone in Japan uses it, it's like a little bit problematic, I think. I know that no one in the team is Japanese, but there's that reading of it that someone might get triggered from that flag.
Thank you so much for mentioning that.
Yeah, especially in China and Korea, I think it's like very triggering. And the emoji box and the writings, I felt are out of place because of their design. The emoji it feels too bland or too, but I guess maybe you'll remake them.
Yeah, they're placeholder right now. We have our newer version of, it's kind of the concept of UI.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you can see this.
That looks much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if the characters will unbreak, like will they go back to normal, or when are they gonna heal?
Oh, you mean the monsters, the characters?
Yeah.
Yes, maybe some of them. So you can see right now, if you don't respond to the complaint, he's gonna freeze the anger. None of the food are taking effect. So maybe the next monster, if you don't cope with the complaint, it's gonna regenerate. It's gonna recover.
Not in the emoji box, but like, will the characters change shape? Will it become like a normal panda again, or?
Yeah. So if you empty all these values, you will return to the normal panda.
Yeah, I thought it's kind of weird that the panda eats, but doesn't use the mouth, just puts it inside the org. Kind of gross, but I feel like there's the gross element that's charming. So maybe the animation can highlight that. I guess that's
we have we are planning to make animation. This is the complete panda.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then will this panda be able to eat too? Will it use mouse?
So this is the end stage of the of
Oh,
this
okay.
level.
It's
You clear the level and you see this picture.
I see. Well, thank you. Yeah, very
Yeah.
impressive. I think.
Great, thank you.
素晴らしいアートで、どこの国かっていうのがはっきりわからないのがすごく素敵だと思うんですけど、その中で、背景の富士山が描かれてるものがあって、その後ろに太陽の描き方が、やっぱり日中間ではちょっと問題視されてしまうかもしれないので、そこは気をつけた方がいいと思いますと。で、いわゆる絵文字のカウンターバーとかはちょっと合ってないような気がするんだけどっていう、チャールの意見に対して、その辺はまだこれから全然UI は変えていくという予定です。で、パンダは、元通りにハッピーになれば分裂してないパンダになる予定だけれども、口を使って食べるということはないですということで。
Yeah, great comments. Oh, Sanket, you have one?
Yeah, I think this is similar to what Andreas touched on last time, where the art is so good that there's so many things I want to click on. But for example, like the ingredients look very clickable, but also like the glasses, and then you have the lights, and then you have stuff in the background. So I would just like to hear if you guys have any plans on like how you plan to convey what's interactable and what's just part of the background, please.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess we should let Bikun, who draw the background, answer these questions.
OK。じゃあ先に質問なんですけど、そのサンケさんは前回アンドレアス先生も言ってたように、もうアートが素晴らしいので、もういろんなものをクリックしたくなっちゃう、背景のものだったり、素材だったり、カウンターに置いてあるいろんなものを触りたくなっちゃうんだけど、どれぐらいインタラクティブにする予定があるのかどうかっていうのをアートを作ってくれたビクンさんに教えてほしいです。
クリックできるものですか？
うん。
実は最初時クリックできるものはアウトラインつける欲しいと思ったんだけど、今しばらくありません。でも、すべてのパターンが来週からいろいろアニメーションをつけたいと思います。そしてもっと生き生きになれるようにします。だから今はディテール、細かいの飾りがたくさんがあるだけど、後で来週からアニメーションをつけたら、もっとインタラクトできるものはもっと目立つなれるようにします。
So she definitely plans to add more animation and outline things that are interactable, and so that the whole screen would look more vibrant and lively. So she will start doing adding animations maybe from next week. She said so. She'll be able to show you that updated version soon.
Thank you.
Very cool. I get very intrigued by that, what seems to be an eye in that jar in the middle of the table.
Maybe it will move, stare at players.
Right, yes. Other comments?
Yeah, I've been saying to one or more groups about, for just to describe what a vertical slice can do for the sake of you doing it in the future, that in general, we could have had more sound from these. Something else you could consider for this project is there's a ton of work put into the art, which is good. And like everyone, the artist has a limited amount of time and has to make choices about what can get done for vertical slice and what can't. I think something to consider is to have done less work on the background and instead put work into one animation. And what that does is it means that every type of art has been realized, because we know from the table and everything on the bottom half of the frame here that your art's going to be great. And we know you can make a background based on what we see on the bottom half of this frame. And so if you save time by doing less work with the background, then you could apply that effort to giving us one animation so we can see your animation style. This isn't exactly a criticism. I'm just trying to help everyone learn how, like, what's the best way to maximize your vertical slice.
これはこのチームに限ったことではなくて、皆さん今後もゲーム開発を進めていく中で、このバーティカルスライスの捉え方として、やっぱりサウンドをもうちょっとどれも考えてほしかったっていうこと、それから皆さんそれぞれ非常に忙しくていろんな作業をやんなきゃいけない中で、こう何をやるか何をやらないかっていうことを常に選択しなきゃいけないかと思うんですけれども、今回このチームに関して言えば、もうちょっと背景にかける時間とか労力を減らして、一つでもいいからアニメーションをきちんとつけてみるっていうことをすると、バーティカルスライスの目的でもあるすべての要素が、一例ずつ少なくとも、実現されているっていうのが、できたんではないかなと思います。で、これは別に批判しているわけではなくて、そのバーティカルスライスというものを、の効果を最大限に引き出すためには、そういう考え方を今後は、考えてほしいしてほしいなという、意見でした。
Yeah, I agree. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, and just to elaborate a little bit more on what Peter suggested, I think in all three projects, we really see the role that sound could play in them. So there is plenty of opportunity. So if we think about the first one, think about what it might sound like to massage the volcano and what the reactions of the volcano might sound like slowly appearing rumble, maybe if we come closer to eruption, or something that is more soothing. If we don't, we could have some chatter of those people. So there's plenty of opportunity there. I think maybe some rubbing sound or so, knocking, of course, we would expect. Here, I'm very curious about the monster voices. I'm very curious about what their complaints might sound like. And then I guess there's an opportunity to have interesting cooking sounds, interesting eating sounds. So there's a lot of opportunity again for sound that will actually make the experience more readable. And then, of course, when it's about languages, what does the elephant language sound like? What does the octopus sound like? Do we hear some sounds when they do their gesture language? Or there's also a lot of opportunity to use sound to kind of support how you make meaning with the experience that you're creating. So it's not just on the images and the mechanics. The sound can take a big role in this. And I think, I would encourage you to make use of that potential and think about it. I think now we really see what could be there. We kind of almost hear it.
ピーター先生が言ってたことに追加するような形になりますが、今回この3つのプロジェクトを見せてもらって、それぞれにそのサウンドがいかにすごい役割を、果たすのではないかっていうのが想像できたかと思います。マッサージのであれば、火山のリアクションだったり、どんどんイライラしていく様子とか、それからリラックスしていく様子、それから人々がもしかしたら話し声みたいな音、それから 揉み方によっての音の違いとか、そういったものをすごく聞いてみたいですし、モンスターシェフだったら、モンスターにはどういう声があるのか、それからその文句を言ってる時の音っていうのはどうなのか、調理の音、それから食べる音、そういったものを考えると、このエクスペリエンスをもっともっと素晴らしいものにしていけると思います。それから、象とか、タコが持ってる音はどうなのかと、彼らの動きに合わせて何か音は鳴るのか、その、プレイヤーが経験することをより増幅させる可能性として、サウンドをメカニックに合わせるだけではなくて、ストーリーをどうサポートするかということで、サウンドにこれからどんどん注目していってほしいです。
Right, yeah. So I have to say, congratulations. This is really good work. And just look at how far you've come, right? You remember our early conversations about what kinds of ideas might we have to something that is really quite formed now. So yeah, congratulations.
いや、本当についこの間始まったばかりなのに、もうここまで来たっていう、本当に皆さん素晴らしい仕事をしてくれたと思います。なので、おめでとうございます。
So for the next steps, we have the March show on March 21st. And then the actual next deliverable will be the alpha that's due on April 13th. So there's a little bit of time between now and the alpha. So there's obviously also some work to do. So alpha will be pretty much a complete experience. So sounds will be in there and all the rest. And yeah, that will be your birthday present for me. Wonderful. Thank you.
そうですね。次のステップとしては、芸大の、ゲーム展で今日の模様を、配信したりするのが3月21日からになるんですけども、ゲームとしてはその、4月13日アルファ版の、発表というのがあります。でそれまで少し時間があるので、アルファっていうのはほぼもう完成されたもの、サウンドも込みでっていうものなので、楽しみにしています。アンドレア先生のお誕生日らしいので、先生からの誕生日プレゼントになるらしいです。So yeah, the Geidai game show online version will open on March 20th, Sunday at 6 p.m. LA time. So yes.
What can we? Is it a physical show?
Well, we will have a physical show in Tokyo. So if you're in Tokyo, please.
Yeah.
But online, you can play like Chisa's game and check out Nana's installation piece.
Very good.
And so, and other games that our games track students made. Beacon has a beautiful game too. So yeah, please come play them on the website for now. Yeah.
I just want to throw in real quick, unrelated, that it looks like you all are getting some musicians. So I reached out to the music school, and then I saw some CCs. Is that going? Did anyone not get a game? I didn't pay close attention to if all three heard from a musician. Did anyone not hear from anyone?
I haven't received any emails so far.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Oh, so it's only been one, right? The other team got one, right?
Yeah, we are in contact.
Yeah, we
with
got
someone.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, we set a meeting.
Okay, I will do something about that.
今回ありがたいことに USC の、音楽学部なのかなから 音楽をつけてもらえることになって、その辺のコミュニケーションもこれから活発になっていくと思います。
Is there anything we
Sanketh, you had a
should,
question? Yeah.
yeah, is there anything we should be submitting for the March Geidai Fest, or is there a place, should we submit a build or something like that? Or is this unsure?
No, nothing for the Geidai show for now. This is basically it. But yeah. Are we going to meet before the alpha again, or are we just gonna? Oh, okay. So you're on your own, I guess.
But you can check in with, I mean, I'm definitely here. Andreas is here. If you want to, if you need, for example, you want to discuss what it really means for your project to be alpha. I mean, Andreas just described it well. And in all three cases, the projects essentially have levels. And like he said, you just have all your levels in their own, in some way.
アルファ版の発表4月半ばになるんですけど、それまではミーティングはもうないので、ただ質問があればいつでもディスコードで聞いてください。そのアルファ版っていうのは果たしてどこまで作るべきかみたいなところもいつでもお答えしますので。
Yeah, all right. Any other questions? Yeah, then thank you so much for your work. It was a beautiful presentation and good work. So if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out and we'll see you again in April.
では、4月にまたお会いしましょうという。はい、お疲れ様でした。
Bye.